Up until this point, we've built a lot of Dynamo workflows with out-of-the-box nodes. Out-of-the-box nodes are included with Dynamo in every install, and they have all the functionality that we've seen up until this point. I mentioned at the beginning that Dynamo is a whole community of people. Within that community are package developers. Packages are extensions on top of Dynamo that enable you to do more things. It enables you to access further portions of the Revit API. There's custom tools, things that change the UI in Dynamo, and a whole lot of other features. In this video, we're going to look at a few of these custom packages that are available to us. By the end of this lesson, you're going to learn what a Dynamo package is. We already covered that a little bit. You're also going to learn how to install a Dynamo package, and we're going to highlight one of the custom packages that I use all the time called Spring Nodes for a very practical Revit use case of renaming views. With that in mind, we'll jump right into Revit and we'll install some packages and check out some additional workflows that are really cool. Alright, this lesson will be a little bit different. I'm going to do this lesson in a different version of Dynamo as well. This version is known as 2.12. Throughout all of the lessons in the series, we've been in 2.13 up until this point. The reason being, Dynamo's Python engine, Python is a scripting language within Dynamo that we can use, is currently changing a bit, and custom package authors have to account for that and change their workflows as well. At the time of creating this course, that's still happening at this moment, and I wanted to be able to show you how to install packages and use them. The moment that changes, this video will be updated. The process is the same, the nodes look a little different, but the process will remain the same as well. So you will still have those building blocks of installing packages and using them. With that in mind, we'll go ahead and open Dynamo in the Manage tab, just like it was before. We'll go ahead and start a new blank Dynamo graph, and this is how Dynamo looks at this point. As you can see, we still have a Dynamo menu, and all the menus look the same. We have a Packages menu as well. Under the Packages menu, we are able to search for a new package or publish a new package. We'll go ahead and do Search. When you click on Search, it syncs with the server. So packages are stored on the cloud, and you're able to download them on your computer locally. You do have to download these per computer at this time. By default, the Package Manager shows you recently updated packages, so that's what we'll see here. In the case of installing packages, a few that I always recommend to install are Clockwork, and there's versions specific to your Dynamo version. For this course, we're in Dynamo 2.x, so we'll go ahead and install that version. We're able to install it by clicking on the download icon. It will ask you if you're sure, we'll click OK, and this warning tells us that he's using Python to create his Dynamo package. There are a few ways to create packages. We're able to use out-of-the-box nodes bundled together. We're able to use Python scripts to access the Revit API to do additional tasks, or we can use a .NET language like C# or VB.NET to create compiled custom nodes as well. Using C# is a method that I use for packages that I produce as well, and a lot of that source code is open source, so I'll include that in the resources for this course as well. We'll go ahead and click OK here, and it will download the package into your app data folder on your computer. When it's complete, it'll turn blue, and we'll see Clockwork in the add-ons library within our Dynamo library. The next package that I always recommend is called Spring Nodes. This is another great one that enables a lot of cool interactions with Revit. We're going to install this, click OK, and that one will also install, and you'll see a new icon called Springs in the add-ons category. At this point, we have 2 packages installed. I'll include a whole list to a lot of packages that are really great to use in the resources for this lesson, but I do want to highlight a workflow that's really great. In Revit, whenever we're working within the project browser, that's typically where we go to rename things. So if I wanted to add a prefix to all these floor plans, for instance, I'd have to go through, select each one, say no to renaming levels, and so on for every view. Not exactly the most intuitive thing in the world. If you're a Dynamo user, and I'll hit undo real quick, if you're a Dynamo user, you start to think, what if I can automate that in a way? One way of trying to automate things is to select them with Dynamo. We've done this previously. If we navigate to Revit, Selection, we have all of our typical selections in here from before. We have select model element and select model elements. What if we try that? Place this node now, we'll click select, and we'll notice that our project browser is grayed out. You can't select from the project browser with out-of-the-box nodes in Dynamo. I'll go ahead and hit escape on my keyboard to exit that selection, and we'll delete this node. With Spring nodes, we have access to a lot of different selection methods that we didn't with out-of-the-box Dynamo. If we go to Springs, we can navigate to Revit, and he has a whole bunch of categories in here. We can actually go to selection, and we'll see that he has selection nodes to select things ordered, select faces, and other selections like that. He also has a section called collect. Go to collect, we'll see that he has a node called current selection. The description of this node says, get the currently selected elements. We'll go ahead and place this node now. By default, we are in automatic run mode, so it went ahead and ran. So what we need to do is kind of tile our Dynamo window around our Revit window a bit. We'll select the floor plans that we want to rename, and we need to right click and search for a Boolean node to tell this node to refresh. So we'll toggle it to true and plug it in. And now you'll see our current selection node has selected all those floor plans from our project browser. This is pretty neat because it's not technically doable with out-of-the-box Dynamo. This custom package enabled that. Another thing that's available is if we were to get the name, and we'll search for some of these because this is review at this point. We'll search for element.name. We can retrieve the name of these views, and all the view names are there. And we can now add a prefix to this. As a reminder, we are getting a string from this element name. That's something we've interacted with in the past few lessons. So if we navigate to string in our library, we have a generate option, inspect, and modify. Modify is where we can start to make changes to our string. There's a node in here called insert. Let's place that node now. At this point, our string would be our input from our element.name. The index, if we want to do a prefix, would be 0. Everything in Dynamo starts at 0 as a reminder. And what we want to insert. In order to make this really easy, we'll double click for a code block like we had before. We'll put 0 for that number, semicolon, and then for the purpose of this example, we'll do quote, parenthesis, ex, parenthesis, end quote. Clicking outside of the code block results in 2 output ports for us to use. We did this in our previous lesson as well. We'll go ahead and plug in the index to 0 and what we want to insert as the EX. And now we have prefixes created. But if you recall from our previous lessons, nothing has happened in Revit quite yet. And that's because we haven't committed that change to Revit. We need to set a parameter in this case. But even more specific, we need to set the name of that element. If we search in the library for setting a name, there are a few options here. We're able to set names of rooms or MEP spaces. There's no out-of-the-box node to set element names. You can do it with parameter by name setting nodes, but there's also a node in here from Clockwork that sets name. That's the other package that we installed. Let's place that node now. And as you can see, it takes a name as an input and an element as an input. Just like our previous workflow, we don't want to commit these changes quite yet because we are in automatic run mode. If we were to plug this in now, it would keep renaming the views over and over because it's constantly refreshing. As mentioned, anytime I make changes to Revit, I tend to navigate down to the bottom left and change this to manual run mode. So we'll do that now. And now we can make our connections. We'll connect our change string to the name and our element to the elements from the current selection. With that complete, we can go ahead and press run, and we'll notice that in Revit, our floor plans in the project browser now have that prefix. This is a workflow that was made possible with custom packages. The thing with this workflow is if we go ahead and press run again, we will start to see that we will get repeated results if we refresh the selection. So let's go ahead and hit false on the Boolean and hit run, and you'll see that it adds a prefix once again. This workflow is an ideal candidate for Dynamo Player. So that could be a new place that you take this example You can expand upon it further based on our previous lesson. I'm going to hit undo in Revit just to take off one of those prefixes. And you can even expand on it to where you have a toggle for prefix or suffix. There's a lot of possibilities with a workflow like this, so I encourage you to save it, make it compatible with Dynamo Player, and add different inputs to it. So with that complete, you now have a graph that uses 2 custom packages to do something that isn't doable with out-of-the-box Dynamo with the included nodes. I definitely encourage you to expand upon it, try to make it work in Dynamo Player, maybe add some other options, see what else you can select in the project browser. A little hint, you can select families in the project browser as well and rename them this way. Really easy to do as well. And just test it out, see what you can do with this. Custom packages are great because they add so many more tools to your Dynamo tool chest to be able to do great things. So with that in mind, have fun using packages, and I encourage you to start to share your workflows as packages if you'd like. Thanks for checking out this lesson, and enjoy that workflow.